Hi, good morning. Time for some crochet, and yes, Christmas crochet, as you will have seen from the thumbnail. But I did say I wanted to try and do little items all the way through the year. So if you want to start your projects early, that's a great way. Makes me do mine as well, and also it gives you lots of ideas by the time you get to Christmas as well. So we have the little Christmas trees here, which we'll have seen on the thumbnail, but I've done them in a double knit and I've also done them in a 4-ply. It's the same pattern. I'll talk through it as we actually do the tutorial. So we're going to go top down in a second to do it, but yeah, just a little bit of fun. I've got lots of different ideas on what you can do with it. It could be a bunting. I've tried to work out how it could be like a table mat, but I started doing that and then realized I hadn't got enough wool in the same color. So I'm trying to decide what to do, whether to do it variegate, different types of greens, but I wanted to do the tutorial first. So I mean, where's my wool? That's all I've got left of this wool. So I was a little bit worried, could I do it all in that color? Wasn't sure. So I thought, do the tutorial, then work it out. If I work it out, I'll pop a picture on my Instagram, etc., so you can have a look. I have ideas anyway, so I will show you that as we go along. But these are so quick, so simple. They are in UK terms, don't forget that. It will cause an issue if you don't realise that, because I've done that myself when I picked up an American pattern, for example, and I've carried on as if it's UK and wondered why it hadn't worked. It does happen, so you do need to be careful on that one. So we're going to go top down and have a go at some Christmas crochet. See you in a second. So here we go with our first Christmas project of the year. Yes, I know it sounds mad, but I know a lot of you do make for charity things, do make for gifts, things like that. And sometimes you do need that little bit of extra time, and it makes me be a little bit more organised as well, because I'm usually very last minute. So for me, this is super organised. Whether that's going to continue for the rest of the year, well, we'll wait and see. But basically, I have 2 double knit yarns here. I also have 2 4-ply yarns here, because as you can see, we have 2 different sizes here. So the larger ones obviously are in the double knit and the smaller ones are in the 4-ply. Now the difference also is the hook size. For the double knit, I am using a 3.5mm crochet hook, but for the 4-ply, my hook's hiding in here, I'm using a 3mm, which is upside down, a 3mm. So it's entirely up to you. You could do it in a chunky yarn and then use a 4 or a 4.5. You could use a super chunky and use maybe a 5 or a 6. It's the same pattern no matter what you do. I'm throwing my hook about there. So it's just a case of playing about with it. We're going to do the double knit version because I think it's easier for you to see. But as you can see, we've got these little cuties here as well. My first plan was I was going to do a garland sort of alternating the small, let me move the yarn out of the way, the small and the large, which I think would look quite cute, to make a full sort of garland of that, maybe crochet along the top and things like that. But then I had this idea that I was going to make a table mat of some sort and think about joining them like this, making a full circle. And then I had these little tiny gold beads here, and I was going to sew a little gold bead on each one to make a little table mat. Now that is something I will continue to do, but I've got to decide whether I'm going to have to alternate greens, because as I mentioned, I haven't got much of this one. So when I make the tutorial, that will be the 3rd one in this yarn. So I might have to look first. I mean, I've got yarn, I just need to have a good rummage through and make them alternating, and then add these little beads on. I'm not promising I'm going to get that done anytime soon, but if I get that done, I will pop a picture on my Instagram so people can have a look at what I've done. I don't know when that's going to get done. It was just an idea, but originally it was just for bunting. Again, different sizes. You can just use tiny bunting, make little tiny mats or coasters. So just something to play around with. So if you do that and you've used my pattern, please tag me and sort of say it worked well, and I'll say thank you for doing it and all this sort of thing, because I do like to see other people's ideas and how they've interpreted my ideas. It's always good to see, and it's nice to know people are actually watching and doing the things. That's the other thing. So as I mentioned, we are going to be doing double knit today, so I can move all this to one side. This is our green double knit, as I mentioned, a 3.5mm hook. I have some scissors here. Don't really need a stitch marker, because obviously the shape we're going, you don't really need to sort of count. Maybe here if you really wanted to, but this is optional. This little base here is optional. You don't have to add that on, and again, As you've seen on the little ones, I did it in brown. On the big one, I did it in the red, looking like it's a bucket that the Christmas tree's in or something like that. Now, I have my very badly written pattern here. I am really messy when I make a pattern first off. So I can't make up my mind whether it's one I would do on my website for people to buy or not, because I don't think it's a little bit too simple for that. Perhaps if I do like the full mat, that could be a pattern. So where's the start of this yarn? Because it's yes, as you can see, when you get to the end of the ball, it starts to get really annoying and coming undone like that. So hopefully we'll not get too tangled. I'll pull a little bit of yarn out to get going. Now this is, if you want to know what yarn it is, it's just a Stylecraft yarn. I like their double knit yarn. It's a great yarn to use, good price, but still good quality. So we need a slip knot, which is going to go onto the hook, not too tight. Again, don't forget, I know I've already said it, and I apologize for repeating myself, but it can get forgotten if people sort of skip sections and things like that. It is in UK terms. So when I say a double crochet, that is a UK double crochet. And yes, I do understand it is a simple crochet back over in the US. So I do know, and you're right, and I'm right. We're all right. It's just a different way of doing it, that's all. So from here, we're going to do 5 chain, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to join that chain into a little circle by just slipping into that first chain. Pulling it through and pulling it through. You may want to just tighten that other bit up. So we have, you can see if you're very careful, if you stretch it apart, you've got a little hole there. And that's the little hole we're going to be working in. It is going to feel like it's a granny square. I've got to stop myself going into a granny square, because I know when I've done something, I sort of want to do it again. And with this, I say it starts like a granny square, but we only have 3 points, obviously. And sometimes you end up doing the 4th one because you're so used to doing granny squares. But we're not. We're going to do 3. It's going to work. So I'm going to start with 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3. That is going to count as my first treble. Yarn round into the hole, pull it through. We have 3 stitches on the hook. We're going to come through 2 and come through 2. That is a UK treble. We're going to do another one. Yarn round, in we go, pull it through, pull through 2 and pull through 2. So that gives us a little set of 3 there. I'm going to do 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3. Quite often when I do a granny square, I do actually need a 2 there, but I need to make sure this spreads out properly. So I've done 3 chain. Back into this little hole with 3 trebles. You've guessed it. 1, 2, 3. 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3, because they're your corners. Yarn round, in you go, and 3 trebles. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So that's all you need. You need 3 corners. So this has to be a corner as well. And I'm going to be a little controversial here. I know a lot of people would do 3 chain and then slip stitch here and then work along to get to this point. I like to work from this point. So the way I do it is I do a half treble. So yarn round into the top of the 3 chain, pull it through. You have 3 on the hook. Pull it through all 3. Now, can you see what happens? That has brought me, it's a bit hard to see there, isn't it? Because I've got green on the background. It has brought me central of this point, so I can start working straight from there. Again, whichever way works for you. Essentially, it is a granny square, but a triangle, so you can do your joins and move along, however it works. So here we go. Starts always with 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3. It'll go through, there you go. And then I'm working directly below, so into here. I'm going to do 2 trebles. 1, 2. Now it's a corner, so 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3. Back into this space, 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. Now pull a bit more of that yarn out before it gets tangled. Now I'm not going to do any chain here. I am literally going to jump to the next sort of chain space, 3 chain space here. So in we go with 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3. You can see the shape. Back into that same one. 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to jump all the way over to this one. So we're going to do 3 trebles. Oh, we're not. We're going to drop it off the hook. Right, let's do that again. 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. 3 chain. 1, 2 and 3. And we need to do another 3 trebles into there, don't we, for this last corner. 1, 2 and 3. Now you remember last time I joined with a half treble. Well, that is if it's a corner, because it would normally be a 3 chain, wouldn't it? So you sort of have to do that. For this one, I'm just going to join with a double crochet. So into the top of that first 3 chain, if I can get it, in you go. Pull it through and make a double crochet. Again, rather than a slip stitch, by doing it into a double crochet, it brings it more sort of central to this hole, so we can start working straight from there. Now, as you can see on here, we do need another round, because you could do a tiny Christmas tree under the edges, so you could alter its pattern. So sort of, I don't know, malleable, that's the wrong word, but you can do so many different things with it. So it's a case of using your imagination from there. So we start 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. Now this one isn't a corner, as you can see, so we only need 3 trebles. So that chain counted as 1, that's our second, and that's our third treble. So you can see where that is coming from. We now do need to get into this corner. I'll probably, you know, get quite a bit out of this wall. I'm just looking at it now. It is starting to run out, but I think I will get quite a bit from it. So into the corner, we do a corner, and our corners are 3 trebles, 3 chain, 3 trebles, all into the same space. So 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. Back into the 1, 2 and 3. We now have a side one. So if it's a side, it's just 3 trebles. In we go. No chain in between or anything, just 3 trebles. Next one is our corner. So we need to jump to that corner, and you know what to do. 3 trebles. Sort of, it's like a little pattern I sort of say in my head when I'm doing things sometimes. So it's 3 trebles, 3 chain, 3 trebles. So that's our 3 trebles. 2 and 3 chain. And 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Next one is a side. So if it's a side, it's just a straight 3 trebles. We have 1, 2 and 3. Next one is our last corner. So we need our corner combination there. I can see this wall starting to jump around in a minute. It's getting closer to me now. That's 2. That's 3. 1, 2. Oh, it doesn't want to go that one. 2 and 3 chain. And 3 trebles into that corner. 2 and 3. And then, like before, I'm going to do a double crochet join. Okay, again, that's the other thing. If you're following American and you hear me say double crochet, that join will be huge, because you'd end up doing a larger stitch. So remember UK. So we have our little shape. Give it a little stretch. I always find it's good to give you shapes a sort of a stretch, or if you do have a way of sort of pinning it, or you have a way of blocking it, or you pop it in a book, which I've done before now, just to sort of get your shapes to sort of sit a little bit. I mean, just by doing that little stretch, you can see. So you can see where we're up to at the moment. So we had 1, 2 and 3, which is what we've got. 1, 2 and 3. I always count from the corner on a granny square if you're wanting to do it, because that's a separate bit there, isn't it? So we are now all the way around. We now need to start thinking, can you see how we next bit we're going to get these sort of little holes. They're all lots of holes. It's a granny square. What am I on about? Yeah, sort of like little arches all the way around it. So we now need to work on that. So let me get here. We can start from here. That is not a problem at all. I need to undo some of this wool because it's getting even more tangled now. So I'm going to undo some so it's not pulling on my hands. Otherwise, I'm constantly moving my hands, aren't I? I'm double checking on where I started with this. Right, now we've got to change what we're doing. This is our granny square section. I just paused it then because I realised I'd done something wrong. So I'm starting again. So if the pause is a bit weird, apologies. So we've just fastened off here, and I've also done a double crochet into that space. Now, as you can see on the tree, so if I held that upside down, this is the bottom and obviously this is the point of our tree. But you can see here there's not got the little arches, it is just flat. So I need to do a double crochet until I get to this end one. So we're just going to do 1 double crochet into each stitch. So I've already done 1, so that is 2. I'm also going to do 1 in that space, that's 3, and then I'm going to do another set all the way along. So it's just 1 double crochet into every stitch, but as I say, I have gone on the in-between one as well. In we go. Now can you see, when we get all the way back around there, you're gonna have to just double crochet up to that point. So if you want to pop a stitch marker in or something, by all means. Now we're going to work on how we're going to get these little points. Okay, and that starts with 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 and 5, and double crochet back into that corner. We're going to do 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 5, double crochet into the next chain space, 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 5, double crochet into our next chain space, 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 5. We have a corner one now, so we double crochet into it, then we do the 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 and 5, but back into that corner one, because otherwise you will lose your point. So you do need to make sure you do that on the corners. 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 and 5, in we go, double crochet, 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 5, into the next space, 1 2 3 4 5. We're on our last corner now, so don't get giddy, because remember this bottom bit has to be flat. Into that last corner, 5 chain, 1 2 3 4 and 5, back into its corner, and now we need to do double crochet until we get to that center point again. So 1 double crochet into each stitch. It's a funny place to start, I know. You'd imagine you would start from a corner, but we could do that. If you break your yarn, you could do that, but I thought we'll try and do it all in one. So we need another one there, and we're back to our point. So have a little look at your work. So if I turn it that way up, you can see we have a tree. So this bottom bit will be flat, and each of these are going to have your little 5 chain. And remember, for a corner, you do a double crochet, 5 chain, back into it with a double crochet. Yep. So now we need to work on just getting these little picot points there, which are really easy if you've not done one before. I know sometimes you see on a pattern 3 picot or 3 chain picot or something like that, and you're like, what's a picot? It's so easy. I don't even know whether I pronounce it right, but that's how I say it anyway. So let's double crochet all the way up till we get to that first chain space. So all the way along, 1 2, not particularly counting. I don't know why I'm counting, just do it into each stitch. You don't really need to count. Right, so now I'm at this corner, and into this corner you can see here there's a few stitches, then we have this little pointy bit, and then a few stitches. So basically I'm going to be doing 3 double crochets, then this little loop, and then 2 more double crochets. Did I do 2 more? I did 3 more. I'm fibbing. Right, here we go. So we're going to have 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3. Okay, now this is where our picot is going to come. You do 3 chain, 1 2 and 3. Now on a picot stitch in a pattern book, it will then tell you to slip stitch into that first chain. You can do that. It's a way of making it quite pronounced. I actually like to go into that stitch. So can you see? I'm hoping. Can you see where I went? Completely up to you. I'm going to pull it through into a slip stitch. Ta-da! Then I'm going to do 3 double crochets, 1 2 and 3. And let's have a look. So can you see what we've created there with the little point? Now we're going to repeat that round into every single one of those 5 chain spaces. So what do we do? 1 2 3. Now the picot, 1 2 and 3, and like I say, I go into the stitch I made, but you don't have to. You just go into that first chain. Well, it's actually counted. So if you do 3 chain, for example, you go 1 2 and 3, and they'll refer to 3 chain from the hook, which it means to come back down. It's basically the first one, but like I say, I just like to go into this bottom bit. I feel it just anchors it a little bit more. So then we need 3 more double crochets, 2 and 3. Off we go again. You get lots of practice on this one. 2 and 3, then 1, 2, 3 chain, back with a slip stitch to whichever stitch you prefer, and there we go. Then 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, 3 treble. I nearly said trebles. That'd have thrown you, wouldn't it? 3 double crochets, 3 chain. I've got 3 on the brain here, and back in to that stitch. There we go. And 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So can you see what we're getting from the side? We've now got a corner. So if it's a corner, I need to sort of really make that point stick out a little bit more. 2 and 3. Then 1, 2, 3 for our picot. Back into that stitch, pull it through and pull it through because it's a slip stitch. And then 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Once you've made one of these, you'll be going so quick with them, you'd be surprised what you can make. In fact, to be honest, just like that, it would be big enough for a coaster, wouldn't it? You could just use it as simple as a coaster, maybe put those little beads on the edge, something like that. It's quite a versatile little thing. I think that's the word I was looking for earlier. What did I say? I said malleable, didn't I? And yeah, versatile works much better. So it got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. Back in, pull it through, and 3, 1, 2. You'll be counting 3s in your sleep by the time you've finished. Right, into the next one. We're almost round. 1, 2. In fact, you've almost finished. Look how quick that was. 1, 2, and 3. Back in, pull it through, and 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets, 3 chain picot, slip stitch join it, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now we have our very last corner because you can see we've got this flat bit coming up. So last corner, exactly the same, isn't it? So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Picot. And then our last 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we do need to double crochet to that middle point or wherever you popped a stitch marker if that's what you wanted to do. And we're finished. That's your basic tree. I've got a couple more there to do. And I'm going to do a slip stitch onto that one. There we are. So that is the tree. That is quite simple. I think the weirdest bit, if you've not done one before, is the picot, but as you can see, they're very, very simple. It's only 3 chain and joining something back together. So we need to give it a little stretch. We might need to give it a little block, but basically that is our tree. So easy peasy. You can leave it at that. I've added on this, and as you can see, this is really simple. I'll grab the red and just show you. You can do it any colour. As I say, the little ones I've done brown as if it's a tree growing. I might be doing this brown in a minute because I can't find the end of my red. There it is. There it is. I've actually got quite a lot of that left, haven't I? I might continue after the video because I've already got 3 now. I need another 3, I think, to make the sort of... Well, let's grab that other one. No. So can you imagine if I just joined at each sort of thing? That's about halfway, isn't it? So if I continue round, you might get yet to see a picture on the video, on my thumbnail of me doing it like that. We'll see. It's just playing about at the minute. So move them out of the way, grab my red yarn. Ideally sew your ends in. I'm just doing this obviously for speed. I've got it front facing to me, and I'm going to look where I want it. You can make it as wide or as tiny or however you want. So I'm just going to sort of make a guesstimate. I want it sort of like there to there. In fact, let's take it a bit wider. There to there sort of thing. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gives me 7 stitches. That's just fine. And all I'm going to do is grab my yarn, pull it through, do a chain, and double crochet back into that space. Okay, so we'll say 7. We'll see what it looks like. You can play, as I said, play around with this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And let's have a look. Make sure See, that's a little bit off centre, isn't it? Can you see? Ideally, I need it to come over a bit. Let's just add one more in. It makes it bigger than the other one, so I will do this afterwards to make sure. But I just wanted to show you. So we've got it roughly central there. I'm just going to do a chain. I'm going to turn my work, and you know what's coming next. It is just a double crochet row. And again, you can make this as tall or as short as you want. So I'm just going to do this one. Where we going? There we go. And there we go. So whenever you're doing your chain turn, you must do a chain and then turn. You can turn then chain. I find it easier, and I know a lot of other people do, is to chain first and then turn. We find it easier that way. So you can imagine how we're going to get that. So make sure that's central. Mine's not quite central there, is it? So that is basically the tutorial. Play about with it, make some shapes, make some designs. I say, love to see what people get up to. I think I'm definitely going to make that little thing. And if I made a central one, and then maybe some more as coasters, it would look quite nice on the Christmas table, wouldn't it? I never get much crochet done for myself in the house. So that's the other reason I'm starting early, because I never make my friends or family many gifts. I'm saying never say, that doesn't make sense, does it? I don't get a chance to make many gifts for people. So perhaps this is about time. Starting this time of year, I might actually get it done. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you're going to have a go. See how quick it was. And when you've done one, I mean, you're watching me, so I'm chattering and stopping and starting. When you get into it, you'll fly through them. They are really quick. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. I have some Easter crochet coming up very soon. It's already made. In fact, do you want a sneak peek? A sneak peek. And yes, you know what's in there, don't you? So this is what's coming next. This is my next crochet project. So thank you all for the support. I'll see you all very soon. And bye-bye for now.